Down to the wire for a deal to raise the country's debt ceiling. A divided Congress stands at odds over the debt deal reached over between President Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy.
The president says he is optimistic, but Democratic and Republican leaders must secure enough votes to pass the agreement. The two-year deal raises the nation's debt by $4 trillion without cuts to Social Security, Medicare, or military spending. The Treasury Department says it must pass Congress by June 5th to avoid a government default on its bills.
So what does that all mean? Joining us now to help us sort this out and what comes next is Simon Rabinovich. He is the U.S. economics editor for The Economist and is based in Washington. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good to be here.
For viewers who may not have followed this issue so closely, can you explain briefly why it's so important for the debt limit to be increased at this time?
Well, the basic answer is that if America doesn't increase its debt limit, the government is not able to raise more funding for all of its very basic obligations, from Social Security payments to paying interest on its debt. So the government would not be able to continue to work. America would default on its debt. You would have something like a financial crisis. So you don't raise the debt ceiling, it would be disastrous.
Now, is this deal a true compromise and a positive sign that default can be avoided?
Well, it appears to be a sign that default can be avoided for the time being. It lifts the debt ceiling until early in 2025. It is a compromise in the sense that you have both Republicans and Democrats from the edges of both parties that are dissatisfied with the deal. So both have given up more than they would have liked to. It does look like the Democrats, to some extent, have come out fairly well in this, in that the House Republicans had passed a bill a month ago, the Limit, Save, Grow Act, which would have posed much more extreme cuts, would have had much more extreme limits on overall government spending outside of defense areas. In fact, the compromise bill that has been agreed to between the White House and Kevin McCarthy is much more limited in the range of cuts that it's going to be making. As you mentioned, the debt limit will be increased. There will be not much in the way of absolute increase in government spending, but no big cutbacks. So for the Democrats, that's a relative win. So the question now is whether or not there's enough Republicans who are willing to support the deal.
What would it mean to the average American if a deal can't be reached by June 5th? I mean, what is at stake here?
Right. So even though a deal has been reached between McCarthy and Biden, it is still possible that it could come apart. There'll be a crucial first vote tomorrow in the House, and then it has to go through the Senate. And the basic deadline is June the 5th. So if it stumbles either in the House or in the Senate, and it does look like there will be a fair bit of both Republican and Democratic opposition to the deal, then America would be staring down the barrel at a default. They would have to scramble very quickly, probably to have a temporary increase in the debt limit, maybe something, say, for 60 to 90 days to allow a new deal to be negotiated. Even with that, there would be a lot of instability, a lot of concern in financial markets, a lot of concern about payouts for Medicare, for Social Security. So it's absolutely imperative that the House and the Senate find some way to keep this deal on the road. Otherwise, both the short-term consequences and the long-term consequences really would be quite dreadful.
And politically, who has a tougher sell to get the bill approved? Speaker Kevin McCarthy convincing hardline Republicans, or for President Biden to sell it to progressive Democrats?
Well, I think mathematically, Speaker McCarthy has a harder sell. It's his job to bring the bill to the floor of the House. He has to deliver at least a majority of the Republican caucus to be able to do that. What I'm hearing on the Hill is that he's basically pledged to be able to deliver 2/3 of the Republicans, which gives scope for some of the far right, some of the Freedom Caucus to peel off. But he still has to deliver kind of a supermajority of the Republican caucus. Therefore, for the Democrats, if you look at the math, they'd have to deliver roughly 1/3 of their caucus. So even if they lose the progressives, there's still enough moderate Democrats that there should be sufficient Democratic support for it. The question is, can Speaker McCarthy sell this as enough of a win to keep the moderates plus on side?
And whatever happens, doesn't this solution just kind of kick the can down the road?
You're absolutely right. And I'm sure for you and for your viewers, and certainly for myself, covering the debt ceiling, it's tiresome. Every few years, America finds itself in the same position of threatening the world with default. It does kick the can down the road. We're going to be back in this exact same position in 2025. What changes with every iteration is that the constellation of power in Washington looks a little bit different. So we don't know who's going to be in the White House in 2025 or who's going to have the majority in the House or the Senate. It was a relatively close call over the past couple of weeks. So we have to hope that in 2025, things are a little bit smoother.
Simon Rabinovich, U.S. economics editor for The Economist. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.